You have found the par 3 for the Texas Children's Houston Open on the PGA Tour this week. My name is Stephen Andress, managing editor at thelines.com. Matt Brown went solo for me last week when I had the flu. He's on vacation this week, so I'm going solo for 3 outright bets that I have made for the Houston Open this week. Now, before we get to those bets, let's talk the elephant in the room. Scottie Scheffler's on a heater. He's figured out how to putt to go with ball striking numbers we haven't seen since Tiger Woods was last at his peak. So the betting market has now turned into Scottie versus the field almost. Scottie is shorter than 3-1 to win this tournament. Since I started betting golf seriously when it came back after the sports stoppage during the pandemic, I have never seen a favorite this short. And let's talk about why. The biggest reasons here are twofold. Number one, he is putting up the best ball striking numbers we've seen since Tiger Woods, and now he's figured out a new putter. The other side of this, too, is the defections of PGA Tour players to live, which has now weakened the fields for PGA Tour events. And this is not a signature event, so all of the big names are not in this field. Therefore, Scottie's going to be even bigger of a favorite. So you all have to decide, do you want to go against what appears to be this juggernaut who was already a top 10 machine and was only missing putting and now has won back-to-back events? Or do you maybe want to just sit this one out? So my strategy is to go after him. And I'm taking a bit of an unorthodox approach. I am taking a lesser payout this week to get 3 bigger names at the top of the board because, as it turned out, when I used the modeling service that I subscribed to and I ran all my numbers, the 3 names that consistently showed up in the last 50, the last 36, and the last 24 rounds were all guys in that next tier below Scottie Scheffler on the outright board. So instead of a 3 units to win 24 units card, this is going to be a tight card of only 3 names for me. And it's going to be, a little more than 3 units to maybe win 18 units this week. But I want guys who have won on the PGA Tour, who if they get into a battle with Scottie Scheffler on the back 9 on Sunday, I know they've won on the PGA Tour in the past, and preferably a couple of these guys who have won big events on the PGA Tour or contended in majors as well. So first guy on the card for me is Wyndham Clark, who broke my heart at the Players' Championship. 1 shot away from getting into a playoff with Scottie after having the lead for much of that tournament. But if we run the numbers for me again this week, he's consistently showing up. Last 50 rounds, number 2 in the model behind Scottie Scheffler. Last 36 rounds, also number 2. Last 24 rounds, also number 2. I had what was at the time a hot take a couple of weeks ago that I believed Wyndham Clark was the second best player left on the PGA Tour behind Scottie. And in this field, with some of the other bigger names not in it, he is the second best player in this field. If we look at the last 36 rounds, he ranks number 2 in strokes gained on par 5s, number 3 in birdies or better gained. That's right there with Scottie, who's number 4 and number 1 in those metrics, respectively. If the wind blows a little bit down in Houston, it looks like winds are kind of mild, but if that Texas wind pops up here and there, Wyndham Clark is also number 22 in strokes gained around the green. And on a long course, just slightly over 7,400 yards at this course, Wyndham Clark has the distance off the tee to contend as well. Number 16 in this field over the last 36 rounds in driving distance. Okay, so he's 12-1 though. So what I would suggest is just getting some odds boosts, some profit boost that may be out there. I was able to bump that up a little bit to make it less restrictive. Keep an eye out for that. I know Bet365, one of our partners, has a 30% profit boost. I know that Fanatics Sportsbook has been popping out 25% boosts here and there. So just keep an eye out for those to try and get some of these odds a little bit more palatable so you're not spending as much money on your outright card. Next guy I am betting is just below Wyndham Clark on the outright board. And it's Will Zalatoris, a guy who has contended in big events, has already won big events, almost won the Masters a couple of years back before his injury. This is another guy who consistently over the last 50, last 36, last 24 rounds kept showing up in the top 13 for me. Last 24 rounds, a little less consistent. He was only 13th in my rankings, but If we go bigger picture, last 36 rounds, he ranked 6th for me. Last 50 rounds, he ranked 5th for me. Over those last 50 rounds, number 3 in this field in strokes gained on approach, number 2 in ball striking. Like Wyndham Clark, up there in strokes gained par 5 and birdies are better gained. He's top 8 in both of those categories. The one weakness for him potentially is strokes gained around the green, where he is towards the bottom half of this field. But if we look at last 36 rounds, that has improved. So since coming back from his injury, it's a little bit better. But still, if we are going to poke a hole in his resume, that is probably it. So hoping for the wins to stay down here. But he also does have enough driving distance here to be among the top 30 in this field over the last 36 rounds. So if it's a long course and a hard course, Will Zalatoris is always on that short list of guys that we want to go after. You can find a 22-1 if you go to enhanced win odds on Bet365, or if you want, you can use some of those odds boosts that are out there to try and get this a little bit higher. If you have bonus bets in your account, I think this is a great week to take advantage of it. If you want to go with the same strategy I'm doing with 3 names at the top of the board, just below Scotty Scheffler. So keep that in mind always to try and make it so there's less money out of your pocket to get the payout that you want if one of these 3 names wins. Final guy on my card is also not a long shot. Now, after this, I'll share a couple long shots that I like, but the third and final name on my outright card is Sahith Theegala. And again, he was the third name of guys who have won on the PGA Tour who popped for me. Like Zalatoris, not as attractive over the last 24 rounds where he ranked just 11th, but over the last 36 rounds, number 5 in my rankings. Over the last 50 rounds, number 4, actually just above Will Zalatoris. And over those last 50 rounds, pretty clean across the board here. Strokes gained on approach is where he's maybe a little bit lacking, only 35th. Ball striking 24th, but he takes chances and he scores. So he's willing to kind of take some hero shots, and if they pay off, he will score. So he probably makes a few more bogeys than we would like. So he's a little more volatile. But when we're chasing ceilings here and going after such a prohibitive favorite like Scotty Scheffler, we need to chase ceilings and not worry so much about floors. Second place pays the same as dead last in these outright bets. It pays zilch. So all we care about, at least in my opinion, is ceilings. So Theegala, over the last 50 rounds, number 6 in proximity from 200 plus on this very long course. Number 8 in strokes gained on par 5s. Number 4 in birdies are better gained. If you look at last 36 rounds for Theegala, still pretty clean here. His ball striking has actually improved. Number 10 in this field in strokes gained ball striking, so that's encouraging to see. Number 2 in birdies are better gained. And again, still top 15 in strokes gained on par 5s. So yeah, once I used my bonus bets that I had and some profit boosts, it came out to about 3.4 units for me to win 24 units. You can scale that down a little bit if you want to go, like 1.9 units to win 12 units. There's a bunch of different ways you can slice this, but you have to get a little bit creative here. If you want to be able to bet all 3 of these guys, you're going to have to use profit boosts and whatnot. Just briefly, I'll tell you the 2 names among longer shots that did show up for me across all of these time constraints, 50 rounds, 36 rounds, 24 rounds. The first was Doug Ghim, which you've heard on this podcast over and over again. He's just not contending. Like, the numbers are there. He's a model favorite. He's popping up every week, but he's just not contending. So that's not a guy I want to go to war against peak Scotty Scheffler right now. The other guy was Steven Jaeger, who did contend last month or so. I believe it was at the Mexico Open or maybe the Farmers Insurance Open. Don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but his best finish this year, 3rd at the Farmers, also 3rd at the Mexico Open. So it was actually both. So he has been in contention, but he's never won on the PGA Tour. And again, if the idea is Scotty's going to be in contention again, do I want to go to war against Scotty with Jaeger, or do I want to go to war with Wyndham Clark and Will Zalatoris and Thagala? So that's kind of just where I landed. But those were the two names that popped for me among long shots. If you want more long shots, our fantastic golf writer John Hasselbauer has his Golf DFS Picks article out right now at thelines.com. Whether you want to use that for outrights or maybe top 10, top 20 bets, or just to use them to help build your DFS lineups, I would suggest going to that article to see who he has pinpointed as course fits and recent form combinations here for the Houston Open. But that's where I landed at for this week. A bit of a shorter card with just three names because, frankly, I'm still scared to death betting against Scotty Scheffler. But hey, I'm going to go for it and bet that he's not going to win 3 events in a row on the PGA Tour, even though Scotty actually also holds the course record at this course. So maybe it's more egg on my face on Sunday after having a couple of heartbreakers in the Players' Championship with my outright bets with Brian Harman and Wyndham Clark. So as always, everything we do at thelines.com, absolutely free. Our golf betting discussions in our Discord, so much fun. Go to the homepage at thelines.com, top right-hand corner, hit the Discord button. You can join for free. We're talking golf leading up to tournaments and who we're betting. We're having fun as big moments happen during these tournaments. We've had a ton of Sunday sweats this year, hoping to try and get one of these outrights over the finish line. We've cashed a couple of outright bets this year, so we're profitable for the season. It's just a great community. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, even though I work at the Lines and I'm kind of paid to like it. But honestly, if I didn't work here, I would be in it. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun conversation with a lot of people who just love golf and golf betting. So check it out when you have a moment. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, let us know who you're betting on in the Houston Open. And if you're listening on one of your podcast feeds, do us a favor, leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way. It's free content. That's just one way you can say thank you if you appreciate it. So thank you in advance for that. Best of luck with your bets in the Houston Open.